flashing here. Look at that. Like, I mean, you even have the nail hose exposed. Like, just so much. So many leak spots on this roof right off the bat.
Yeah, with your driving rains, you know, the cedar becomes a bit of an issue.
Well, especially if no one's maintaining it. I mean, this looks like it hasn't been stained in a while either. It's all peeling off. It's rotting at the bottom here. Take a look at this, Steve. I didn't even bend this flashing. Think of the rain that's getting in there and driving right into that window.
Oh, that's not a leak. Where'd my finger go?
You can stick your finger in there. Okay, so we know it's the siding, we know it's the flashing, we know it's the windows. You know what I'm thinking? It's the whole front face of this wall we got to change. Windows and siding.
Yeah. We're installing our metal roof. It's a steel, pre-painted steel system. The fasteners are actually hidden, much like siding, so the panels actually overlap and lock in. Most of the fasteners are hidden from any weather, which would corrode them. Typically, that's where these types of roofs fail first. Ideally, we don't want the snow or ice to build up and cause problems. So the type of roofing itself is basically ice dam proof. At the same time, we don't want all that snow and ice sliding off and potentially causing body harm. So what the snow guards do is they just retain the snow to the point where it just sort of prevents huge amounts sliding off at once.
You know, the graves go into the extreme work of the metal roof and the little skid plates on top that stop the snow. So we don't want anything coming down, sliding down and hitting anyone down here. Might as well start on the roof to take a look at the roof. I mean, such a small area. Just look at the east trough here. I love spring. Listen to those birds. This size of east trough right here, because you can see the peak that comes right to approximately here. Now imagine all the water on that roof up there just coming down in a pouring rain, coming right down to this point here, and it overflows like a waterfall coming down here. Clearly see the elbow right there on the bottom of this east trough here, and it's just really diverting the water across here, which means all the water up here, this roof and this roof all come right to here. And this doesn't help either. That doesn't help at all. It just clogs it.
About this, I knew this was ice dam in here because of the two roofs coming down. It isolated the little middle roof. It was totally isolated on its own, and there was absolutely no insulation on this, and that is why she's got peeling paint inside the house here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got too low of a slope here for shingles. They did a preventative measure here with ice and water shield, but as you can see, it transferred a leak to the fascia board, rotted it out, and if you look at the nails even, you know, they're rusty. So the water was getting underneath the shingles, and probably 6 inches thick of ice throughout the winter, transferring all the way back up the slope as well. So.
Absolutely. Well, it's a good thing we uncovered it, man.
Yeah, so yeah, with the added insulation, we're going to get some ventilation in this area to help breathe this section of the attic, and then treat this roof, this low slope, like a flat roof. That should solve any future issues.
And not meaning that you want to turn this pitch into a flat, you just want to treat it as a flat.
Yeah, keep the same slope, obviously, keep the same structure, just use flat roofing material versus shingles.
Right.
And the purpose of that is that ice can't dam underneath it.
When we came here initially, the soffit here ran to a 0 point at the roof. And what we've done is we built a wall 4 feet out here with 1 foot high at this point. And we've run our rubber up 36 inches underneath the shingle tie-in. With the valleys coming together, we were getting ice damming below here. And now what we've done is we've carried it 4 feet beyond the transition point, and we've eliminated the problem.
These troughs are terrible. They need to be replaced. Truth is, it's outdated. It's got to be all replaced, and that's not in the report. That figures. I mean, how many times do I got to see this?
Steven, so this is our issue. This is the first thing Mike and I both noticed was the rust on the trough, and I know that's got to be replaced right away, including some downspouts, but was there any other issues on the house?
The rest of it looks fairly good. It's not that old of a house.
Yeah.
It looks like it's been, fairly well maintained. Really, all we have to do is replace the eaves troughs with new aluminum.
That's good news. It's just trough and downspout at this point. Okay, so we've already started taking a look at this. What's happening is obviously the J channel's filling from the siding, right?
Well, yeah, when the siding was done, they've installed basically a flashing.
Yeah.
But typically what you want to do is actually make this a drip edge. So what's happening here is it's running down the face, running into the soffit overhang. So what we can do is we can slip a drip edge in underneath this existing flashing.
Yeah.
And then kick it out this way.
That would be great. And can we do that along the whole edge here?
Yeah, front and back. The back of the home's the same situation.
Right. Because
So-
they didn't bring it low enough. You can see actually they didn't quite bring it low enough on the front edge as well.
Yeah, even if they had they dropped it below
Yeah.
the elevation of the soffit, that would have worked as a drip.
Right.
But the problem here is because it's basically flush.
Yeah.
It's just transferring the water back in.
So we have some trough here that's been leaking a little bit. What do you think of it?
Well, it's in good shape.
Are you okay with the size of it?
Yeah, it's 5-inch trough. It's aluminum, so it's in good shape.
Right. Now, downspouts, other issue.
Well, really the only problem with the downpipe, again, it's aluminum. Someone's gone along and stapled maybe Christmas lighting into it.
We're thinking Christmas lights because they did it right across the front of the house too. They came all the way down here. I mean, I thought venting. I don't know. Air behind water, right? Help it flow?
Well, no, I think that's all it was that.
Yeah.
You notice the corrugations in a downpipe, that's actually to prevent freezing.
Right.
Because it's not a flat surface and that sort of thing. It's harder for the ice to cling to it.
So we're going to replace that.
So we'll just replace it with a new downpipe.
Okay, so we have that. Now the other thing is venting. I was up in the attic. There's only 2 vents up there. It's stifling up there. We're probably going to have to add some more, but we're going to have to deal with the soffit venting here.
Yeah, there's only 2 vented panels on the front face of this home.
Yeah.
I imagine it's probably the same on the back.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can remove the existing soffit and then match up the same panel, same color.
Yeah.
And just add more vented panels between the 2.
I see, and just keep the existing. There's no sense getting rid of it. It's not like it's bad, right?
No, same thing. Same situation. It's aluminum. It's in good shape.
Yeah.
We'll just when we remove it, we make sure that the vented panels are clear and not covered in,
Right.
in debris.
So you're just adding a couple of new ones.
Yeah, we'll add some more just so it's sufficient enough of air as an intake to get it up and over the baffles.
Well, I think that's enough for you. You got enough work here to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
So the existing issue with the attic on this home was that it wasn't vented properly, both with the roof vents as well as these soffits not being open enough with the plywood coverings. Correcting the soffits, the roof vents, and the attic insulation with proper baffles is going to really get the airflow going in this attic. the old skylights. Putting some new glass skylights in. This particular unit, the lenses are starting to cloud over. The seals in the skylight itself are starting to wear out. So now is the appropriate time to change them. The advantage here, we don't have to throw this material out. The aluminum and the acrylic's both recyclable. So we're going to take it off to the appropriate place.
So there's my outside bathroom walls, Stevie, and we're gonna be baffled right through here. So venting, pretty straightforward here.
Well, yeah, very straightforward. We've got solid aluminum panels here. We've changed these out to vented panels to get that air from the outside area here into that cavity, which is going to allow it to breathe up over the bathroom wall.
Right, because we are gonna put a ridge vent up right over the bathroom only, right?
Yeah, just over
just
top
to
of
help
the
us
bathroom.
breathe this whole thing.
We need Steve to come in, look at the roof and all the vents escapes, and we need him to also look at how we're going to vent this.
Well, we have the same issue on the rear of the home. We have plywood soffit, under-ventilated soffit. So we're going to create larger openings and cover the plywood with some new aluminum vented panels. Well, we replaced the front eaves trough across this lower roof, basically for one main reason. Both the neighbor's home and the home we're working on downpipe come into an old clay weeping tile. So we redirected the downpipe to the middle. It's going to drain out down between the driveways, basically to eliminate any drainage issues or a wet basement situation.
The existing trough here is in great shape. With the large mature trees around, we've got to install the smart screen. It's going to give it some extra added strength. It's going to keep all the debris, all the leaves out of it, and they're not going to have any more problems.
And on the outside, we had Steve Graves come in. You have all new soffit throughout your whole house because we want to make sure we ventilate your attic space. You're already going to do new east troughs and downspouts, I can tell right there. Probably wouldn't hurt to put some smart screen on this side of the house, maybe the back side as well due to the trees.
New soffit vents, probably remove the old louvers. They're probably packed with insulation, dirt, and such. So remove the existing ones, replace them with new, and then add additional soffit vents. So although this house has a multitude of problems, we're here to solve a couple on the exterior. We've got some soffit louvers that are quite jammed up with dirt and debris. So we're going to be installing some new vents themselves, upgrading the eaves troughs. They're older 4-inch troughs that have sagged and lost their flow. So we'll be removing those and installing a 5-inch seamless eaves trough and installing a smart screen to keep all the leaves and debris out of them. The other issue we talked about with Mike on the soffits here, you'll see a lot of this mold or mildew kind of starting to appear on the soffits themselves. Again, due probably just to venting, poor lack of venting in the soffit, potentially ice dams and such, because the air wasn't being able to circulate up through the soffit into the attic and then carried out by the roof vents. Well, we're going to vent the soffit properly so that it actually gets some airflow in there so that it doesn't reoccur.
The house is 7 years old. We have leaking everywhere. We're gonna have to do a comb from the outside. See where the water's coming in.
Yeah, you can't really see much from here without getting on it. So we have a lack of slope in the eaves trough. With the lack of slope, this eaves is filling up very fast. We're getting some spillover. We're getting leakage behind the eaves, on the face of the eaves. You can see a lot of water staining. This downpipe is then collecting that water, bringing it down onto this lower roof, where we can see a lot of premature wear in the shingles in this area. Really, this downpipe should be continued all the way down to the lower eave to minimize any wear here. We also have a leak below that could be this could be the source of that leak, is having all this concentrated waterfall onto the roof. You can see below the shingle we've got signs of dirt. This is where water is tracked into the shingle. You can see a bump in this area, some rusted nails. So we've got water entering this area. So not only premature wear, but potential leaks.
Well, we just removed the spiking ferrules because they often come loose with the expansion of the wood in the winter. We're replacing them with brackets and screws. We're also resloping the trough, so we'll have better slope to the downpipe here. We're gonna put on a bigger downpipe to allow more water to get down off the roof.
So you're gonna put a vent in for me today?
Vent and a little bit of shingling.
Yeah, because now that we've closed that area off, it's an actual attic now, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna treat it as an attic. Getting a roof vent in there for exhausting any air,
Yeah.
just to vent it like a traditional attic space.
Absolutely.
These are very rusty nails that I'm pulling out, obviously showing that water's gotten to them.
So we have bigger downspouts, while making sure that the downspout just doesn't drip onto the roof. It actually goes down to the eavesdrop, right? These are corners that are cut that end up being a problem for you.
There's two issues with the existing flashing over this front doorway. One of them being the metal actually didn't quite cover the wood itself. So with our new material, we're going to make sure that it actually gets down over the stone. The second thing, the wood really should have been wrapped with a membrane. Here we're using an ice and water membrane that's self-adhesive. We're just going to wrap that exposed wood first and then cover it with the new metal.
Probably not the best time to come in for you and look at the roof in the freezing cold. But like I was saying to the homeowners, look at all the roofs there.
Well, yeah, it's fairly obvious. The ones you can see that definitely have heat loss.
Every single house in this neighborhood has the same issue, including this one here. I'm also worried with the age of the home that we have beautiful perforated soffit, but that there's wood underneath and it's blocked off.
You know, we want to make sure we got the area from the soffit into the attic open, whether there's brick or wood blocking that. So make sure that there's baffles installed, getting the airflow in. We removed the existing roof vent from this area. The roof vent itself is just a standard roof vent that's not actually meant or designed for this application. So here we have our 4-inch exhaust coming from the kitchen. This warm, moist air is sort of partially coming through the vent and also partially affecting the attic, getting into the attic space. We're seeing it stain and mildew. But the more permanent solution will actually attach and seal the collar to this pipe, and then using a proper exhaust vent, which actually has a damper or flapper in it, so that when the fan gets powered, this flapper will open and actually exhaust the air. When the fan's not on, the damper will drop and prevent cold air from falling down the pipe and entering into the house. This upper roof is actually a separate attic space than the lower roof behind us. So it's vented separately, in other words. So it's all right having vents here and vents there. The only problem with this area is we have 3 different types of vents that are basically working against each other. We have this turbine style vent that's actually mechanically operated. The wind powers it and helps draw air up. The problem is we know the soffits are blocked for an intake. So where this vent is actually getting its air from is these other 2 vents. You're just circulating the top portion of this attic. We're not actually clearing any moisture or heat issues at the lower portions of the roof, and that's often where we'll see mold or mildew build up. So, removal of these 2 vents, replace some plywood sheeting, bit of new shingles, and making sure the soffits get opened up, this attic will perform properly. Just finishing up with the eaves trough installation. The existing eaves troughs were old, galvanized, starting to rust away, starting to leak. The original downspout location was here in the driveway when tied into the weeper. So we new seamless aluminum eaves trough, 5-inch. The original troughs were 4-inch galvanized. Being a larger size, much better for controlling the water. So we've re-sloped these, and now we're going to drain out to the front out on the lawn. better management of controlling the water.
Trough, hey bud?
Where are you bringing it, Steve? Right onto the back of that post there?
Well, exactly. The existing downpipe was coming down the wall and tying into that reaper.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't really need to replace the trough, but instead of patching it, it's such a short section, we're just putting a new piece in.
That's smart.
But the downpipe will come down this side of the post and kick out past the garden away from
Very
home.
nice. I think MJ's already patched up that hole. Actually, I know he has. I watched him do it. He filled that hole with non-shrink grout. So at this point, we're almost done here. Nice job, Stevie.
More than anything, walking through here, this is what I want to see.
Yes.
No downspout here. Bring it across, bring it on this side here, and water the grass, not the side of the house.
No, this is great. I love it.
When I was up on the roof, I looked at this side of the roof, and what they had done is because they had a leak. Now, they went up on the roof, and he's just clocked all the rain lines, and you can tell on this side of the house, and we know it's the south side, that it's cupping. So this side is going.
It's really just the south side that's showing earlier signs of wear.
Okay.
So we can, minimize the amount of work on the roof by just doing this side, which is the problem area.
Is that your recommendation?
That's what I would recommend because there is life left on the other three sides of the home.
It's freezing cold. Is that an issue for you?
Not really. I mean, ideally you want to install roofing products in more seasonal weather, but we do work all year round. And the fact of the matter is this roof's leaking. It's going to continue to leak with this ice dam. So
And you guys are tough.
absolutely,
You're
we've
just
been
tough.
doing it before.
Man, you're awesome. You're just tough.
Now we have the shingles off, basically we have a good idea of what we're into in terms of repairing the side of the roof. The boards are in good shape. A couple of spots of leakage. We got some wet wood, but it's not by any means rotten. And then of course with the new installation, we'll ice and water shield with a metal drip edge on our perimeter 3 feet, and then synthetic roofing paper that's going to cover the balance of the roof. Then we install the new shingles. You can visually see that the shingles on the upper roof are worn quite excessively. I can't even match these shingles, they don't make them anymore. So that's problem number one. You can see that there's no way to get any intake air at the front of this house other than the small bit of soffit above
Yeah,
us
because
here.
we're going to have that one roof line meet that angled wall here, and because there's no soffit, we can't get that air in there to get in the attic space. The good news is there's a huge attic space up there. So I'm hoping maybe we can just get away with shingling the top, but I need you to take a really close look at it.
Yeah, not a problem. Obvious signs of a patch. Probably animals trying to get into the attic. Got another example of it on these roof vents. Obviously an animal's been chewing at the plastic vent there, trying to get an alternate source into the attic. We know from the homeowners that they actually have a pet squirrel named Charlie that likes to come down the chimney. On the back side here we can see the mesh has been pulled up by Charlie, and he's got a nice little spot to climb in and out of this chimney. Really just needs some thicker mesh installed on here, and probably down lower wrapping the actual flue, preventing Charlie from gaining access again. So we can really see premature signs of wear. The shingles are cracking, they're losing their granules due to the expansion contraction. Definitely signs of under ventilating of the roof deck. It's really lost its seal. We've got exposed fasteners that are rusting through now. There's definitely a problem in large areas, and it's fairly consistent over the whole roof, which really tells us that it's time for a full roof replacement. We're here starting the roof today. Basically, we came to the conclusion that the roof is in sort of desperate need of full replacement. Obvious signs of wear, premature granule loss, cracking of the shingles. We know that based on the bad ventilation of the attic space, really prematurely wearing out the life of the shingle. We know we've had animal damage to the roof, as well as animals migrating actually into the home. So a couple of areas, we're going to be eliminating the actual roof vents and installing a ridge vent, which is more critter resistant, and then doing some repairs to the chimney caps themselves. Squirrels like to climb down these chimneys as well, so we want to make sure that those areas are covered properly and critter resistant as much as possible. It's a complex roof shape. We've got low slopes, almost wall slopes, and then other slopes up top with a lot of hips and valleys and such. Basically extra care and work in those areas. When it comes to leaks on roofs, the most vulnerable areas are the areas where there's protrusions, such as dormers, chimneys and such. So that's where we're going to make sure that we do our best in terms of making sure there's proper underlayments installed and that they're flashed properly and that sort of thing. We're at the point where we can see that last time they did the roof, they did use roofing felt, which is a positive sign. Although, if you look at a lot of the nails in the felts, these shingles are allowing water past them. A lot of the nails are rusty, which definitely, it's basically time to do this roof. Again, the animal's been in this place, probably running rampant through the attic. We noticed a couple of areas lower in the roof where these animals are getting in, these critters. And so we'll make sure when we're installing the new products that all those areas are sealed off.
Well, basically what we got here is just another entry of where the squirrels are getting in. It looks like the squirrels were nesting in this area here. There's a lot of trees that's leading towards the roof line. So what happens is it's just prone for squirrels to come up here and play around here. So the best thing to do here would be to resheet this section here from rafter to rafter with the underlayment on there with the proper overhang. There's no way that these guys are going to be trying to get back in here.
We're just on sort of the finishing stages here. We're coming up to the peak of the roof. The ridge vent's going to go in. Typically, ridge venting's better type of vent on a traditional roof like this, a traditional slope. The reason for that, it's right at the high point. That's where the heat is rising to. The other advantage of the ridge vent is it's cosmetically nice to look at. We're using a designer shingle, so the ridge vent itself installs at the peak and we actually shingle over it, so you see very little of the product. But definitely in terms of performance, functions better because it's right at the peak. So basically, same scenario in the back area here as other parts of the home. So in this area, not only do we have to install a vented panel, or a few vented panels, there was actually a solid plywood soffit beforehand, which we actually had to cut out and open up. Well, we're just cleaning out the debris that's in the eaves trough because we're covering the eaves with smart screen. We're just going to keep the debris as well as snow and ice from collecting in the gutters. But with these brand new shingles, we've got a lot of granules as well. When they manufacture the shingles, we get they overpress them to make sure there's even coverage of granule on the asphalt. We're just getting all the debris out first, and then we're able to install the product.
We have a little bit of rain coming, and it's perfect because you have a brand new roof. Not only do you have a new roof, I love Steve Graves and his guys. You did all the sides as well, and all new siding around your windows.
This looks so beautiful.
We also did a lot of downspouts, trough, smart screen. You had a lot of trees in this area, so we definitely put smart screen all the lowers.